The annual report project is a requirement of the School of Business, and it's meant to allow students to have a capstone experience with financial accounting. These instructions should guide you step by step, because included in the instructions is the template for completion of the annual report project. This video is going to help you as I go through the instructions and highlight the most important pieces that we've got. First, I wanted you to notice the due date, which is July 19th. Very, very important that you adhere to that. 11:55 p.m. Microsoft Word electronic submission is required as an attachment. And let me make a note to those of you with a Mac, you may have some challenges as far as whether your Mac is going to work with Microsoft Word. Sometimes it does, and every now and then a student has a challenge. I also have had students with challenges opening the Excel spreadsheets that are embedded in this Microsoft Word document. So if you have access to a PC, it's much better to do this project on one of those as opposed to Microsoft products for an Apple. Instructions are below. Here's your grading, 60% clarity, 15% completion. That means completion of everything. Accuracy and mechanics. And these are the instructions. Most importantly, you're going to be looking at a 2016 annual report, and those are generally going to be widely available. You just need to go online and Google annual report and then the name of the company that you have chosen from the list that's found on SitLearn. You may not select a company that has incurred a loss, and if you do so and submit your project, then I'm unfortunately going to have to require that you redo the project, because companies that have experienced a net operating loss or any type of loss are going to be difficult to analyze. So be very conscientious of that. Also, if you select a company that's not found on the SitLearn list, you must get permission before you start the project. Another very important piece. I've listed what internet resources will be helpful for you, and please provide very strong comments. Don't just say long-term assets went up, liabilities went down, this number increased $5 million, that number decreased $1 billion, but instead you have to find out why. What was the purpose? And that's going to require not just looking at numbers, but also reading the footnotes of the financial statements, as well as the MD&A, which is Management's Discussion and Analysis. You don't need citations, works cited, or footnotes of that sort, but if you do, for example, look in Management's Discussion and Analysis and find that they are expanding in China, let's say that it's a company expanding in China, and they may talk about Chinese expansions and they may have a specific phrase you want to use, then put it in quotes and indicate something like, according to the annual report, and then you can use your quotations. In the past, I've had problems with students who have quoted definitions from the textbook. That's not allowed. Always use 5 clear, concise, grammatically correct sentences. And late projects, beyond the due date, are 5 points per day. Okay, you must complete A through F, which starts here, in order to get full credit. Be sure not to round more than 2 decimals, and do not delete the instructions. If you do, I'll have to return the project to you and you'll have to redo it. In other words, right here is A1. You're going to start answering in the space right here. So let me give you an example. Put your answer here. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Okay. These are pretty clear, so I suggest you do A problems first. And I may, in fact, get some of you to submit, if you'd like some extra credit for a quiz grade or something, you can submit Part A within a week of determining whom your company is going to be that you'll analyze, and I will give you a quiz grade extra credit. Financial statement information, you're going to be filling out this. Most students have very little problem with doing this part because there's a sample below. Part B is going to require that you check to see if assets changed, liabilities, stockholders' equity changed, and looking at cash flows. And as I've indicated, I need explanations. I don't want dollar amounts. I'm not looking for this number went up or down, but a clear, lengthy, summarizing explanation of what has happened within a company during the prior year. Let's scroll down. Let me stop right here for a minute. B8 asks for treasury stock. It's also known as repurchase stock. It's important. Lots of students will send me a message, I can't find this, and yet I have a note here that tells you where it is located. Ratio analysis comes exclusively from Chapter 14 in your text, from the text that we're using now, actually. And I can change that actually to 212. And first you're going to fill out this chart. Now, if you'd like, you can go in and recalculate every single one of these numbers, but as I suggest up here, you can find these from a reliable online source. And I know there's some inconsistencies with online sources, but I will be reviewing this for reasonableness and doing some recalculations as well. Liquidity ratios. I need some comments, not just it increased or decreased, but why? And the same for the other types of ratios. Okay, common size income statements. When doing common size income statements, you'll fill this out. Please remember that sales are 100%. This is going to be your denominator, and everything else that you do will be calculated based off of sales as the denominator or 100%. As a reminder, you can find out how to do a common size analysis in Chapter 14. There are questions related to commenting on significant changes. Again, not just why, but 4 to 5 well-developed sentences. And also looking at the income statement to see if there are any extraordinary items, such as sale or loss, gain or loss on the disposition of an operation. One comment is sometimes you're not going to see the number cost of sales, but instead you'll find something maybe that says sales, or maybe it says cost of sales. And sometimes definitely not going to find operating expenses, but instead you may note that it's something that has a listing of operating expenses, and from your prior experience, students know what an operating expense is, and you can just be consistent in your grouping from the current year to the prior year. Horizontal analysis, we did this also in Chapter 14, where you take the current year, so if I can find it, slipped up here. Here we go. Where you take the current year and subtract it from the prior year to figure out a dollar change, and from that dollar change figure out a percent year. Remember that your base year is always the denominator. That's going to be the prior year. Please fill out what year we're discussing here. This also is a good demonstration of how these pop out. Comment on any significant ratios and known causes in E2. E1 is the completion of the horizontal analysis template. Finally, F is an overall assessment. I'll be looking at this carefully. And the question asks, would you invest in this company and why? And give me a carefully worded 3 to 4 paragraph response using your ratio analysis and the assessments that you've done. So again, these are fully well-developed paragraphs with a common theme. I wouldn't do this one hastily. This is going to be the culminating component of the project, and this project counts a pretty healthy part of your course grade. If you have any questions, let me know, and I hope this helps.